People are jealous. People are jealous. Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show. Hello if you're new. So today's video is going to be about drag queen and former RuPaul's Drag Race contestant Plastique Tiara and how she's been called out for trans fishing by another trans drag queen, Alona Verley. And I kind of just wanted to have a conversation about it because I think there is a lot of things to talk about. But yeah, I hope everybody is doing as well as can be, and I really do hope everybody is being as proactive as possible in supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. And if you're still on the lookout for some resources, I've linked some in the description. Feel free to comment down below your thoughts on my commentary. I'm always up for a chat, I'm always up for a debate. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. No hard feelings. And if you really like this video, consider subscribing to the channel and helping your girl out. Before I get into this topic, I just want to make very clear that I am very aware that I am coming at this from a perspective of a cis person. I'm just here to have a talk and have a conversation. I'm not here to impose anything, and I really do want to hear some things from the perspective of trans people in the comment section. And I'm definitely not here to discredit trans people at all, but I do think this is a conversation worth having. I'm hoping this is going to be a respectful conversation, so I'd appreciate if people keep things respectful in the comment section. But my comments are open for everyone, so if you are going to be disrespectful, don't be surprised when somebody is disrespectful back. You feel me? So this topic was kind of brought to my attention in actually Plastique Tiara's Instagram comment section. I follow her on Instagram. I was a fan of her of the show. I'm a fan of her aesthetic, and you know, she is a fish queen. That is her aesthetic, and she has an OnlyFans now, which I had assumed from the material that I have seen, it's very much centered around her fish aesthetic. If you're here, I'm guessing you know what fish means, but if you don't, fish is basically a play on, from my understanding of what fish is, it's a play on fishy, which is an adjective of suspicious, and therefore linked to this person looks so much like a woman that it is suspicious. That's my understanding of the word fishy, but correct me if I'm wrong. That is what my understanding of fishy, of a fishy queen is. But that is her aesthetic as a drag queen. So in terms of her OnlyFans, from what I had seen from her OnlyFans, I just assumed she was going with that fish aesthetic. So initially I didn't really see any issue with it, and even now I'm still kind of like, I'm not really sure if there is an issue. But I thought it was, yeah, it's just her being Plastique Tiara, but on OnlyFans. So obviously, I was in the comment section, and all of a sudden I see Alona Verley's comment in there, and obviously she's verified, so I think it's highlighted. But the comment was like looking like it was coming for her, and I was just like, what is going on here? So those of you who don't know who Alona Verley is, she was on the first season of Canada's Drag Race, which recently aired. I know it's not as popular as the American version, so I know some people might not know her. But she was on there. Alona Verley is trans two-spirit. She's indigenous. And this is what she had to say. And it was underneath this picture. I'll put the picture up as well. So obviously it's a picture of her. I'm not sure if she has prosthetics on, because I know like some of the fake boobs that they can put on can actually look pretty realistic. But obviously I think there's probably a bit of Photoshop going on here as well. But yeah, obviously she's looking very fish, like she looks like a woman. I'd say it is hyper fish. Some may say extreme fish. But she is serving me woman right here. Like, I'm looking at a woman in this picture. This is what Alona Verley had to say. She said, "Girl, ellipses. What are you doing? Ellipses. If you're trans, come out. If you're not, stop profiting off trans identities. not being clear about your intent behind this OnlyFans account is really causing a lot of people hurt and disgust. So then, to my knowledge, Plastic Tiara didn't reply to this comment, and she still hadn't replied to this comment. By the time I come across this comment, the post was like 3 days old anyway. Obviously, some people were kind of a bit confused. I'm not gonna lie, I was confused as well, because I was like, because the fish aesthetic is widely accepted in the drag queen community. Like, that's widely accepted, the fish aesthetic. So at first I was kind of like, well, you know, everybody knows she's a drag queen. Everybody knows fish is her aesthetic. So I personally was a little bit confused initially. So then she goes on to explain to somebody who's obviously a bit confused. She says, because she's feeding into the dangers that trans people face by tricking straight dudes to sub to her OnlyFans, and then when they find out that she's just a drag queen, how do you think their fragile masculinity is going to handle itself next time they're face to face with an actual trans person and wanting to take that anger out? She's being trans online to profit off a community that is trans in real life. Dealing with the real world problems created by people like her, it's not right. So, I have to say, I think Alona Valley was being a bit extra with that second comment, but I think she could have an argument with the kind of trans identities, and that's kind of what I wanted to get into. But this whole tricking straight dudes into subbing to her channel, like I said, Plastic Tiara makes no secret that she is a drag queen, that she is a gay cis boy. I went on her OnlyFans link. It doesn't necessarily say I'm a drag queen. It just says, welcome to the full fantasy. I think that kind of just alludes to the fact that she is a drag queen. So, I mean, if a straight male came across this randomly, I mean, that's their own business, because it's not like she has intentionally gone out of her way to hide the fact that she is just a drag queen. So I think that was a little bit of a reach, and I think that was a little bit harsh there. Violence committed against trans people is a real issue, but I don't necessarily think it's because of that. I think there is a more nuanced conversation on that, to be honest. If someone was going to be violent towards a trans person in real life, they were always going to do that. I don't think they necessarily need to be provoked to do that. But that's just like my little 2 cents on that. But let's just talk about this whole profiting of trans identities. So let's talk about it. Obviously, like I said, I feel like the lines are a little bit blurred here, because, like I said, Plastic Tiara is a drag queen and she's a fish drag queen. That is an aesthetic in the drag scene, and it's widely accepted in the drag scene. On RuPaul's Drag Race, it's praised if you're a fish queen. The more fish you are, the more praise you tend to get. And I think that's probably why Plastic Tiara is so popular, because of the fish aesthetic. I'm not gonna lie, that's why I follow her on Instagram, because I love the transformation. I think that's why she's gotten so big on TikTok, and I'll even put like an example here of her transitions. Where are my bad girls at? I mean, it's amazing to look at, but I've always kind of linked that kind of curiosity or interest or amazement of the transition with the drag scene. Obviously, the drag queen, obviously drag queen as an art, drag queen as a community has its roots in trans identities. That's where it started. I'm not really sure what the message is now. Is it kind of like, is there a line now on fish drag queens? Because I think there are fish drag queens, and then there is just like illusionists, because I think that kind of brings up a conversation of where do we kind of draw the line on the fish aesthetic. Is it just simply when you're performing as a drag queen, and can you not take it further into other things such as sex work? That's kind of what I'm kind of confused about. Where are we now drawing the line? Because like I said, it's kind of a blurred line. It's kind of a blurred line here, because she is a drag queen, and her drag queen aesthetic is female impersonation and the whole fish aesthetic, like I've been saying. So yeah, I think it's a sticky one. It's a sticky one because it's not black and white. I And then on top of that, the whole trans identity, that she's saying she's, you know, profiting off trans identities. The way that Tiara looks so good, like to the point where it's not even impersonation, it's illusion at this point. It's that good. It's hard to dismiss an argument of she is profiting off trans identity, because I mean, she's an illusionist at this point. At this, you know, she could walk in the street and people would think, yes, this is a cis woman. So I can't totally dismiss the argument, but at the same time, I'm kind of just like, but isn't this just the fish aesthetic? Is it now? Has she taken? So my question for trans viewers is: has she taken the fish aesthetic too far? What is it? Because I feel like a quick defense would be people are jealous. People are jealous that she is fish, and people are jealous that she's now successful. She's not trans, but yet she is passing. They're jealous that she's making money off of it, and a lot of money. I don't know how much money she's making, but I can only assume she's probably making a lot of money. What is the argument here? That's what I kind of want to know. Because on the other side of things, I think a dismissive argument to what Alona Veri is saying, or other trans people who agree with her, would be, well, maybe they're just jealous. I mean, that is an easy dismissive argument to say. Obviously, Alona Veri has put forward the argument of it's disgusting, you know, she's using trans identities and, you know, but she's not living the trans life. Do you have the same argument, or do you have other issues? I'd be interested to hear from trans viewers. Alright, so I'm on Plastique Tiara's Twitter page now, and she must have deleted a tweet. So I think she must have said something but then deleted it. So if anyone knows what she said in that tweet, do let me know. I'm trying to find some evidence. Okay, so apparently Plastique Tiara did disrespect trans women. Okay, so I'm assuming it was probably not necessarily what she said, but a picture, which I'm guessing is the picture that's still up on her Instagram. But I've seen pretty much on the tweets basically saying she's trans baiting, she's trans fishing, and she's like stealing the aesthetic to make money. Like I keep saying, I feel like I said, it's not clean cut because she is a drag queen, and there is a kind of sex work element to the drag queen business as well. There is a significant amount of drag queens that do sex work on the side, and the drag queen aesthetic is a part of that. That is its own sexual aesthetic, if you will. I don't know what the content of Tiara's OnlyFans is. If anyone actually knows what the content actually is, please let me know. But I feel like, again, there's a little bit of a blurred line here. But I think if she was on OnlyFans now, so I'm not sure what would be the issue. If she was just a drag queen, and she was, say, tucked on her drag queen, and she would say masquerading, you know, so if she was, say, on her OnlyFans, let's say, still as the drag queen aesthetic, tucked and everything, would that still be an issue? Or would it be an issue if it was something like she was untucked and selling that? Because I feel like if she was doing that, then that is like clearly, okay, she's trying to profit off a trans identity to make money. But again, I know a lot of drag queens in sex work kind of dabble in the trans-ish aesthetic for sex work. So is that in itself problematic? If drag queens are kind of using the trans aesthetic to make money in sex work, is that problematic? Maybe just like as their side hustle, not necessarily on OnlyFans. But is that in itself problematic? Because I know a lot of people do that, or is it just simply them doing the do in their drag queen get up, and that's what the aesthetic is? So yeah, I mean, So what is it? Is it when drag queens are doing their sex work, is that stealing trans people's identity, or are they just doing their sex work as a drag queen? So again, it's not very clean cut for me personally. But like I said, I'm just a cis person. But I do think there's a little bit of a blurred line. So I would appreciate a little bit of clarity. But like I said, it's I'm not necessarily saying she's not stealing the trans aesthetic. There is a case for it. But then there's also a case that she's just simply using the drag queen aesthetic. And she hasn't really addressed it. I don't think she really has addressed it, because no one big enough, no trans figure or no one big enough in the LGBT community has called her out for it for her to say anything. And say anything. So that makes me feel like she doesn't really care, because she doesn't really feel to defend herself towards voices that she views as insignificant. Because if a bigger drag queen or a bigger trans voice called her out for it, she definitely wouldn't have done that. But the fact that she hasn't, to my knowledge, lets me know that she simply does not care. In her comment section, there's a lot of people from the LGBT plus community hyping her up. Other drag queens hyping her up. So in her mind, nobody big enough is coming for her. So therefore, she's just not going to address it. So that is also quite telling as well, because I kind of feel like if I was in a position where I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, or I feel like some people were getting what I was doing wrong, I would want to address it. So that in itself kind of stinks a little bit. I feel like she does need to address this. But I think even with all of these blurred lines that I've been talking about, we do need to understand that, you know, within the LGBT community, there is intersections. And I think this is what becomes an issue in every single marginalized group. When you group different marginalized group people together, you're going to have issues of intersection issues that you often have with other groups that have been mashed together. And in the LGBTQ plus community, there is a significant amount of transphobia and a significant amount of ignoring issues. And I think a lot of that comes from just grouping them together. But there is, you know, transphobia within the community. It might not be overt, but there's undertones as well. So the fact that Tiara feels like she doesn't need to address the trans community is a bit of a question mark. I'm not trying to say she is anything, but it's a bit of a question mark. And, you know, she is coming from a position of privilege. She is, to my knowledge, a cis gay man. So even though she's a drag queen, if she wants to go to the corner shop as a man, if she wants to live her everyday life as a man, she can do that. Take the fish aesthetic off and she can live her best cis life whenever she wants to. And that's not the case for trans people. But then again, it just now brings up this debate about but then again, that now leads way to this debate about trans aesthetics and, you know, where are the boundaries in your drag aesthetic. But those hierarchies do exist, and I often do feel like trans issues in the LGBTQ plus community are often swept under the rug, only addressed once every blue moon. So I feel like if trans people have an issue with this, we should be listening to what they have to say. So, like I said, it does look very suspect. I think there is some blurred lines here, but it does look very suspect. And there is a good case for her stealing trans identities, profiting off trans identities. There is a good case for it, I think. I think it does go on. You do see drag queens doing it. So, I mean, it's not a foreign concept. Like, some drag queens, it's not even like they're doing that as a drag queen. Like, they're doing the trans aesthetic, and they know that they're doing the trans aesthetic to make their money. So I feel like people, obviously in this situation, I do think there's a blurred lines, but it does go on. It's not a foreign concept. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to hear people's thoughts on it. For me, I'm on the fence. I don't know. I feel like there is a case for her to be guilty, and there's a case for her to that this could just be innocent or just people disagreeing. But like I said, I would be interested to hear your thoughts on it, especially trans people's thoughts on this situation as well. Is plastic tiara transfishing or not? But and yeah, if you feel like there's anything that I said that needs to be corrected, do let me know as well. Yeah, do let me know what your thoughts are on this situation. Let me know what your thoughts are on my commentary. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to put my notification bell on so you know when the next video is dropping. I'm also trying to get to 2.1k subscribers. That's my next milestone, and I appreciate if you help me hit it. And thank you to everybody who has subscribed so far. Till next time, guys. Bye.